Imagine living on a sailboat in the crystal-clear waters of the Bahamas. Paradise. Warm ocean breezes. Endless horizons. A place where most people dream of escaping. But for one woman, that paradise may have become the setting for a mystery that investigators now believe could be murder. And the deeper authorities dig into this case, the more troubling the story becomes. Because one woman vanished without a trace. One husband says it was a tragic accident. And federal investigators appear to be asking a very different question. Was it really an accident at all? This is the mysterious disappearance of Lynette Hooker. And tonight, we're examining the evidence, the inconsistencies, and the growing investigation that refuses to go away. Lynette Hooker and her husband, Brian Hooker, had been living aboard their sailboat, Soulmate, in the Bahamas. To outsiders, it looked like an adventurous life. A couple sailing through tropical waters, exploring islands, living far from the pressures of everyday life. But everything changed on a single night. According to Brian Hooker, Lynette disappeared after accidentally falling from a small dinghy during rough weather. His explanation seemed straightforward. A terrible accident at sea, the kind of tragedy that can happen in dangerous waters. But almost immediately, questions began to emerge, because investigators began comparing Brian's account with the physical evidence. And according to reports, some of the details didn't line up. Then came a development that changed the direction of the entire case. GPS data. Newly obtained location information reportedly contradicted key parts of the timeline Brian described. Investigators weren't just questioning what happened anymore. They were questioning where it happened. And if the location didn't match the story, what else might not match? Suddenly, what began as a missing person investigation started taking a darker turn. Authorities reportedly escalated the case into a murder investigation. That decision alone speaks volumes, because investigators don't make that shift lightly. It suggests they may have seen evidence pointing beyond an accident, beyond a simple fall into the water, towards something far more deliberate. Then investigators focused their attention on one critical piece of evidence: the sailboat itself. Soulmate, the floating home where Lynette was last known to be alive. Authorities seized the vessel and transported it to Fort Lauderdale for an extensive forensic examination. Every inch of that boat could potentially hold clues. Every compartment, every surface, every hidden detail. Because sometimes a crime scene doesn't stay on land. Sometimes it sails away. And what investigators reportedly discovered next only intensified the mystery. The boat's AIS tracking system, a navigation system designed to broadcast a vessel's location, had reportedly been turned off during a critical period surrounding Lynette's disappearance. That finding immediately raised questions. Why disable a tracking system? Was it innocent? A technical issue? Or was someone attempting to create a blind spot at the exact moment investigators would later need answers? For many observers, that discovery became one of the most troubling aspects of the case. Then came another detail investigators couldn't ignore. Brian initially told authorities he planned to remain in the Bahamas and continue searching for his wife. But after being released from custody, he quickly returned to the United States. Now, returning home is not evidence of guilt. But in a case already surrounded by questions, every action becomes part of the larger picture investigators are building. And that picture is becoming increasingly complex. Meanwhile, authorities launched a new search operation based on the GPS evidence. U.S. Coast Guard divers were reportedly deployed to search a specific area of the Bahamas identified through the new data. Not a broad search, a targeted search. The kind of search investigators conduct when they believe a particular location may hold answers. And while no body has been recovered, legal experts say that doesn't necessarily prevent a prosecution. Former federal prosecutor Tad DiBiase has pointed out that no-body homicide cases have successfully led to convictions before. In those cases, investigators rely on timelines, digital evidence, forensics, behavior, statements, and the total weight of the evidence. Because sometimes a case isn't built on one smoking gun. It's built on hundreds of pieces that point in the same direction. Right now, no criminal charges have been filed. No arrest has been made. And through his attorney, Brian Hooker continues to maintain his innocence. That fact is important because despite growing suspicion and mounting public attention, investigators still have the burden of proving exactly what happened. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This case is no longer being viewed as a simple accident at sea. Questions surrounding the GPS data, the disabled tracking system, the changing timelines, the forensic examination of Soulmate, and the renewed search efforts have transformed this mystery into one of the most closely watched investigations unfolding today. Somewhere within the waters of the Bahamas, or somewhere within the evidence investigators are quietly analyzing behind closed doors, the truth may already exist. The question is whether authorities can uncover it before another crucial piece of the puzzle disappears beneath the surface. What do you think happened to Lynette Hooker? Was this a tragic accident? Or is there a much darker story waiting to be revealed? Share your thoughts below, join the discussion, and stay with Viral Lens Report as we continue following every development, every clue, and every unanswered question in this case. Because sometimes the smallest detail becomes the one that changes everything.